मित्र हो, आज जगाची लोकसंख्या जवळजवळ 7.5 अब्ज आहे. पैकी 1/4 लोकांनाच फक्त इंग्रजी समजतं. याचा दुसरा अर्थ असा की तब्बल 75% लोकांना इंग्रजीतलं ओ का ठो म्हणून काही कळत नाही. Wait a second. Let me understand how many of you understand what I just said. No surprise. By the way, it was Marathi, my mother tongue. Almost 7% of the national population speaks Marathi. Imagine what if I continue to give my entire talk in Marathi, or maybe in any other language which you don't understand. Well, you have choice to stop me or walk out, right? But billions of people out there who do not have these options, they have to keep struggling to understand what is being said to them by others. UNESCO estimated that about 2.3 billion people, that is almost 40% of the world population, do not have access to education in their own language. And it is researched across 26 different countries that 50% of the students who are getting dropped out of the school do not have access to education in their own language. This is, in short, a huge language barrier and an academic failure. And I am one of that victim of language barrier. So ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to share my story, a story which led me to talk to you on this very fantastic platform of TED. I want to thanks to organizers for inviting me and offering this great opportunity to interact here at TEDxIIMAhmedabad. And of course, thanks to you all for signing up to listen. તમે કેમ છો? It was 24th of June 1995. I was given an admission form to fill up. I wrote down my name, date of birth, and there was this field called gender. I don't know why, but I clicked on the option female. And when I submit my admission form to the admission officer, he looked at me from top to bottom. So that was my level of English when I was just about to enroll in the diploma course of engineering. And when I actually entered the class, it was a nightmare. Because until then, I was never exposed to this language beside just an academic subject. When I happened to enter in the class, all the courses were taught in English, and I did not know anything about it. Everything was racing right over my head. Every day, it was like I was in cold sweat and trying to run away from the class. I don't know what was going in the class. And in the meanwhile, what happened, a couple of students ran away because of this language barrier, which made me to think that this is not my cup of tea. And I also decided to quit and pack my bags. But something stopped me, and those were the innocent faces of my parents, unfortunately who did not had a chance to go to school because of our poor economical conditions, but they were very much determined to send their kids to school. Thanks to them and their determination, I was there, and education was like a lifeboat for me. Literally do or die. But it turned out that my lifeboat was terribly broken inside, and I had no option but to fix it. I made my mind to survive, and I approached to one professor. He was such a nice professor who helped me out. He said, "Why don't you get the dictionary?" Dictionary? That was the very strange word I was listening for the first time in my life, because I had my whole schooling borrowed books from relatives and maybe from my friends. Barefooted on one piece of school uniform. Even thinking about to have your own school bag was like a luxury for me. And dictionary was no way. But this was the professor was so nice that he not only gave me his dictionary, but also taught me how to use it. And since then, I started jotting down the words written by the professor on blackboard into my notebooks, and I would come back to the room and then turn dictionary upside down, inside out, looking for the words, trying to understand what was going in the class. And it was so fascinating that I was entering into new world. I was slowly making progress, and when result came out, it was learned that only 4 out of 60 students were passing the class in all the subjects. I was surely not one of those 4. And once again, I lost my hopes to become an engineer. But to all and my own surprise, I had literally made the top in the class. And that was the moment when I first realized how powerfully my success is connected to the friendship with this so phenomenal thing called dictionary. It is awesome. I was happy, of course, but I was also sad at the same time. I was sad for those who dropped out. Certainly they would have become engineers, they would have made it. But, and there are millions out there who also come with the big dreams. They know the opportunities, but they may not have the right tools like language. And so I thought, I need to help them. I need to act on this. I felt it like it's my duty to help these kids coming from the rural areas who do not understand language and then sacrifice with their dreams. And so I make my mind to take this as a challenge and to work on language barrier. In first go, I started distributing photocopies of my own compiled dictionary among my friends. But there were limitations how many photocopies I could possibly distribute. Then come the option to have a booklet kind of dictionary. But then I thought it is not feasible. And I was working on it and looking for new and innovative ideas, how I can address this issue. And in this process, somehow I realized that digital dictionary could solve this problem. But how to make a digital dictionary? I didn't even know the ABCs of computer. So in order to search out for help, I asked a few of my friends who know the computing well, but in vain. It's okay. Everyone has their own priority. So I again make my mind to learn computing. And with an advertisement of one of the best computer institute, training institute at that time, I applied and appeared for the entrance exam. I was qualified to, but at the end of the process, I was literally thrown out. And it's because I had no enough money to pay their tuition fees. Again, thank you to them because they did not let me in. I think whatever happens is for good. And again, I took it as a challenge. In the childhood, I learned about the great archer called Eklavya. The story I'm inspired from, how this guy not just trained himself, but mastered the art of archery when he was refused to be discipled by Guru Dronacharya because of his scheduled caste, and I decided to walk his path. Since then, I was just looking for different ways to work on this very dream, and the Eklavya story came in my mind. I left my home, locked myself in 10 by 10 room for another 6 months with a borrowed computer and books. 18, 20, 24 hours a day and night was usual, and then I was self-learning computing. It was so fascinating and so interesting. I got in love with the computer programming and those books. But something pops up. I think when destiny wants to test you, it tries very hard. Because of continuous sitting problem, I started feeling back pain and bleeding underneath that I had to undergo a surgery. And doctor would not permit me to do a sitting job anymore. But I was so passionate that I put the monitor literally into the chair, and I used to lay down on my chest on the top of the table, and continue my practice. In those 6 months, I learned almost all the programming languages of that time and developed a first software programmer for the computer for the language Marathi. And that was the first ever computer dictionary made in Marathi language. Obviously there was huge demand for that, and it went viral. I started distributing the program on compact disc, but that was not scalable. So I thought of something, a program where I will put all my programs and languages on a central server, and everyone can access. Even without noticing, I was creating my website. And the website was the first ever website for the references of Indian regional languages. It went popular, and it was so popular that sometimes the high traffic would crash our website. And that is a good thing to happen, right? But soon I realized there is a huge internet divide. Hardly 10% of the Indian population had access to the internet. And certainly my target audience were different. I was thinking about it, and then began the revolution of mobile phones. I used to see the tiny mobile phones in everyone's hands and pocket. I wanted to leverage from that, and I began programming, coding mobile apps. And now it's on all the platforms. Like if you just search for name Khandbahale on let's say Play Store, you will find millions of downloads every single day. And we started distributing these apps in colleges, and something I noticed, we were able to serve only 3 out of 10 students who were approaching to us. What was wrong with other 7? The challenge was, at that time, almost 93%, I'm talking about 2010, almost 93% of the mobile phones were featured phones without any capability or capacity to download and install any kind of application. Those were the simple ordinary phones. So we were not able to help them. And thinking about it, I was able to figure out the common denominator, which is SMS, short messaging service, right? And then we were able to create a short messaging service, SMS gateway, and start a service called Dictionary on SMS, where anyone can just send a text to a particular number and will get back the meanings in whatever requested language. That was awesome. So friends, since 1998, with a single language, trying to fix my own problem, I was able to create the world's most multilingual translation platform in 22 official languages of India, starting from myself. Now the user base is about 100 million users across 150 countries. I was born and brought up just as an ordinary village boy, and you can imagine, from almost dropping out of school to successfully graduated from one of the top university like MIT, was obviously not a very straight path, right? But everything paid out. We see many problems around us, The real question is what we do about it. My parents, I am so proud of my parents and family that this couple, the ordinary couple, in one tiny village of Maharashtra near Nasik, without having any resources, were not able to go to school, but they had a dream and a vision to select education as a transformation tool for them and the whole family. We are 3 siblings. My elder brother is named Vilas. He's a mechanical engineer, and then out of his passion for social justice, he became judicial magistrate. My younger brother, who is a botanical professor and environmental scientist, is doing really great work. So you can imagine the education has become a transformation tool in our life. And so inspired from our own success, we wanted to do something for our community. And then we set up, 4 years back, we set up a school, a small school in our village. And for whatever reasons, students were not able to travel from distance. So taking inspiration from Swami Vivekananda, he said, if students are not able to come to school, why not to take school to the students? And we started a program called Education on Wheel, where actually we set up the whole school in a bus, and that bus goes to different communities. It's doing awesome. Now we are working on bringing quality to 1 unit and then going to scale it up. There are many things to do. Like any other city, my hometown, which is Nasik, is already facing the brain drain problem. Thousands of graduates every single year moving to the bigger cities, hunting for jobs, leaving the local problems aside, unaddressed for the communities. Few like-minded friends and I started initiative. We called it as Kumbhathon. Actually, the effort was for Kumbh Mela because it was the right mix to think about the mix of problems. And long story short, in just 2.5 years, there were 12 startups coming out of it, and we could see the trend is changing. Now we have a brain gain. So, to sum up, we see many problems around us, and the real question is what we do about it. We have, again, choice. If we can solve it, we can try to solve it. If we can't solve, talking about it or just complaining about it, I think it's a contribution. But ignorance. So going forward, on every single day and moment of my life, I would like to this obvious question to myself: am I a solver, a complainer,